Hello, I'm Ted Chapin, Chairman of the American Theater Wing. Today we are acknowledging the American in our name by celebrating the 10 nonprofit companies across the country to have received the Wing's $10,000 National Theater Company grants for emerging theaters this year. All the companies have been in existence between 5 and 15 years, and each has made a substantial contribution to theater in their hometowns. And those towns stretch from coast to coast, from Philadelphia and New York on the east, to Fayetteville, Austin, Denver, and Albuquerque in the middle, to San Diego and the Watts District in Los Angeles. These particular companies were chosen for their courage, creativity, and inspiring programs.
All of these companies, as diversified as they were, they had one thing in common, and they all just wanted to enlighten as well as entertain. And that's what great theater is. Good theater is always theater that's relevant and challenges us, to go beyond our comfort zones. And if it's good, it's the kind of theater that transforms our lives for the better.
I am delighted that all of the recipients are joining us today to discuss the unique work they do. Our guests are Bob Ford of TheaterSquared from Fayetteville, Arkansas.
People dig live, intimate, and challenging work.
BJ Powers from Timeline Theater in Chicago.
A challenge as we go forward, as we are growing exponentially, is to find a way to reach more people with our work but not lose who we are. To stay true to our mission, to stay true to perhaps what is most important about Timeline's work, which is a connection with our audience and a dialogue we have with our audience every night.
And Jack Cummings of the Transport Group, right here in New York City.
I think one of our biggest challenges has been to, in the face of all that, with the help of the community and recognition like this, is to just keep going down your own path that you're meant to go down.
Now, Bob, Fayetteville, Arkansas, not known for its theater necessarily. Tell us about it.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah, we had, unlike New York and Chicago, we had the amazing good fortune of kind of inventing or, deciding from a broad array of theater what we wanted to do. And we have a wonderful performing arts center that brings in Broadway shows. So we do contemporary theater, somewhat cutting edge, challenging theater, and then we also have a new play festival which usually generates a new script every year or so that we then put on our main stage, so we premiere work as well.
And you have one successful one that was with a local playwright?
We do. We have a couple really, but one that was kind of stunning for us was a play called Sundown Town that was generated in our first new play festival. We commissioned it, and we asked the playwright to bring in some of the indigenous music, country, folk, bluegrass music from the area, and put a story to it. And the story he decided to put to it was that of the sundown laws, which were in effect late into the last century across a broad swath of the Mid-South, the laws, written or unwritten, which said that if you're African American, get out of town by sundown. And he made an amazing, hard-hitting play out of it, and the most amazing thing about it was that play outsold anything else that had come before, including plays like Every Christmas Story Ever Told, which are huge hits for us, so that was exciting.
Do you feel that you take audiences from the Broadway series in Fayetteville, or do you encourage new audiences?
It's definitely a little of both. We definitely have people who prefer what we do, want to see what we do. We also know that we are benefiting by that Broadway series, which is really right next door. We're kind of housed in the same theater complex. So it's a little of both.
TheaterSquared, do you get out in the rest of the state? Do you have an obligation to take it around and show your wares?
We do educationally. We may or may not have that obligation, but we feel it. And there's a program that we have going where we go down. Really, it's 5 or 6 hours away. Be like going down to Maryland or something, if you were in New York, to do to bring playwriting and what it can, the power of creating plays to students, high school students, in what's called the Arkansas Delta region, which is, you know, one of the more culturally bereft parts of the country, really. So yeah, we've got stuff like that ongoing.
And where do you pull the actors from?
We start with our local talent and try to cast from there as much as possible. We, when possible, when we feel that they're really the best for the role, we go to the MFA acting program at the university. And then depending on, I'm a playwright, so I do direct but don't do a lot of directing. We guest direct out of Chicago and New York. If the director's from Chicago, we were just talking about this. We do casting in Chicago. Same thing in New York. So we get kind of a cross-pollination of sort of national actors, artistic pool, and local. And so it's a great kind of cross-pollination that goes on there.
And how far do the normal audience come from to get to the theater?
We have about half of our audience, of roughly 2,500 per show, comes from Fayetteville, which is a town of about 72,000 people. The other half comes from our greater, I guess it's called MSA, which is about 400,000. So we get a lot of people from that Bentonville, the Walmart headquarters, which is about half an hour away. So it's really kind of like New York, really. And we're always trying to convince people, you know, look, it's just a half-hour drive. If you were in New York, it would be
it would take you that
45 minutes on the subway.
Anyway, well, thank you for this. These programs are brought to you from the Graduate Center of the City University of New York in partnership with our friends at CUNY TV. On behalf of the American Theater Wing, I'm Ted Chapin, and thanks for joining us for another edition of Working in the Theater.